All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages, how to stop making it about you. This is a common problem that maybe your wife has told you, you're always making it about you, or maybe you've heard that from people at work, or maybe your kids. High achieving guys can tend to have this problem. I know I do. I've heard my wife say this often in our marriage, and it's kind of popped up again recently. And so I had to take a look at this and really kind of see, am I making it about me, and what's really the best solution to stop that? So I feel like I found it, and I really want to share that with you guys today. It's a simple practice that you can do to really stop making things about you and really be genuinely interested and making it about the people around you. So something big I'm working on, wanted to share with you guys today. So my name is Mike Frazier MD. I am a psychiatrist and marriage coach, and I help high achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So, wins this week from guys in my program: Love, Intimacy, and Legacy. So, some of the guys, they're at that stage of life where they're having grandchildren and just like spending that time with them and just enjoying that time and really cherishing that. It's so cool to see these guys really leaving that legacy for multiple generations of the kind of guy that you want to be, a Christ-like leader in their home. So cool to see. People are kind of lately. I'm seeing my program more as a way of like we kind of kill the old marriage. Some people are doing kind of symbolic things to say, okay, like our old marriage is over and this is a new marriage. They're writing stuff out. They're even kind of getting re-engaged, doing those kind of things, and it's just cool to see. Because it's recreating something new. Working through difficulties with understanding, this is a big one. People come in, they'll have these troubles they just can't seem to get through on their own. They'll learn these skills and be able to work through these hard things with understanding instead of having it be a fight. Enjoying time with in-laws where it used to be difficult. Again, this all has to do with your mindset, right? If we can change the way that you think and feel, that shifts the way you act and the intentions that you have it. Sometimes you'll go to the in-laws and your intention will be to like show everyone you're not having a good time, which is not attractive. It's disappointing for you and everybody else. Versus if you go in there with the intention of, hey, let me enjoy this and just spend this time together, you feel better. Plus, that's a lot more attractive to your wife. Okay, so with holidays coming up, something to think about, right? Finding win-win in church attendance and service. So, this can be a contentious point. Religion, it's a hot button in all of our lives. And if we're not totally aligned, it can be pretty difficult. But, guys are able to figure that out, right? Get to win-wins, go to a church that works for both of you, right? Or worship in a way that works for both of you. Delivering the apology letter. This is a huge thing. The process for really changing things is identify your negative, unattractive patterns, right? Thoughts, feelings, and actions. And the apology letter is a big way that we do that. We identify those negative things. We let our wife know those are the things we're working on. Super powerful. And this is a big part of like also that old marriage, like dying, right? We identify all the things we want to like kill off in the marriage to start the new one. So I got an email from one of the guys today just talking about how he has the best relationship he's ever had, with his wife and his kids since learning the skills in this program. I love seeing these kind of things. And this is what happens, guys, when you change your brain, right? You change those thinking patterns, you rewire your brain, and you align that with Christian principles, eternal principles. It just works, right? There's just not another way around it. For me and my marriage, we had a really fun birthday celebration for my wife this weekend. It was just really fun, time together with family and just enjoying moments together. And it was just a very nice evening. Also went to church with some friends this weekend, which was cool, to be in an environment where people were with fellow Christians. And it was a new church for us, a different church that we attended. So super, super fun. So let's get back to the point of today, which is how to stop making it about you, right? So what you're trying now is you're working hard, right? You're listening to this podcast. You're trying to be a better husband. You're trying to be a better father. You're trying to, be closer to God, all those things, right? So you're listening to this right now, maybe you're watching videos, maybe you're even in, thinking about joining my program or working with the counselor, or, maybe you're even in my program, right? Most of the guys that are in the program listen. So, you're trying to do all these things. You're trying to listen to your wife, right? You're trying to be more understanding. You're trying to make your wife happy, right? If you've listened to this for a while, I hope you're not doing that too much, but we all slip into it sometimes. Um, you're trying to make things not about you, right? You're trying to get into her shoes. You're trying to listen to her more, and so you start feeling a little bit better, right? But your wife might say, she feels like you're just like checking the boxes. Your heart's not really in it. You're not really making the changes that she wants you to make, right? And maybe she even says, look, you're still making it about you. You're doing the same thing. You're making it about you. You're like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm trying so hard here to prioritize you. I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to manage my emotions, right? I'm trying to do all these things. And so you feel frustrated, right? You feel upset, you feel like giving up, or you feel like just yelling at her, telling her, well, what are you doing for me? Right. Or you're like, man, maybe I should just give up on this and go find somebody else that's not going to be such a pain. Or like, tell me I'm making it about you and I'm trying so much to do things for her, which is really the mosquito cycle, right? So again, we're doing these nice things, but we're going to look at another thing here. You're trying to get attention, appreciation, affection, sex, right? You don't get it, you get frustrated. But here, right, your wife's it's part of the same problem, right? Where uh, you're doing it for you, right? You want something back from this. You want her to not say you're making it about you, but to really see like you really care about her. But again, she's kind of exposing that mosquito cycle, because if you're getting upset when she says, hey, you're making it about you, you kind of know, okay, well, all these changes, they're not working, they're not paying off. That's mosquito cycle. You're doing it to get something back, right? That attention, appreciation, affection, or sex. All right. So, because here's the issue, right? As high achieving men, we have this sort of ingrained thing, as I've learned and thought more about this, right? I think a lot of it has to do with a certain personality type called, a red personality, or powerful choleric personality, which is kind of ingrained in us, like, be the best, right? Work hard, achieve, right? Do those things. So in our mind, we're like, well, I want to be the best in everything. And like I just said that I want to be the best in everything. I really grew up and, believed that for a long time, that I could be the best at anything that I wanted, right? That whatever I want to do, I could be absolutely the best at it. I'm learning now, like, there's certain things I can be great at and certain things I can't. It's honestly still kind of hard to like accept that. But again, like, this is part of the problem, right? So we, as high achieving guys, we want to be the best husbands and fathers. That's just kind of ingrained in us. um, but here's the thing, right? If you're like, I want to be the best husband, I want to be the best father, it's still actually about us, right? We're still kind of thinking about us there. We want to be the best, right? That is about us. Okay. It's actually not really about our wife or our kids. It's about us being the best husband and father, right? It's kind of like we want to win that Father of the Year award or Husband of the Year award, from our wife and kids, or we want to give it to ourselves, right? Or we want to feel like God will give us that award of like, hey, like, you're a great husband, you're a great father, here's your reward. So we're kind of looking towards that reward, right? So really, it is still about us. That's the bad part, right? That even as we're like, oh no, I'm going to be the best husband, I'm going to be the father, it really is. It's about us, right? Our wife's right when she says you're making it about you. We are when we do that. Okay. Now, look, it is important to feel like we're doing a good job in these things, right? And we do want to look at, okay, like, am I aligned with God here? Am I really being the kind type of husband I want to be? Am I being the father that I want to be? Right? I talk a lot about that. It's really important. But the problem with all of it is that it does miss an important point, a very important point. Okay. And so we can still hear from people when we're like trying so hard, like, oh man, I want to be that better husband, I want to be that better father, I want to be closer to God, right? But listen, it's all I, right? I want this, I want this, I want this, I want to do this, I want to do this, me, right? So it still really is all about you, even though it is kind of directed towards, you know being in service and doing that, right? So again, it's a little bit tricky, but hang with me, right? I'm going to get to the important point here in a second. But what I want you to hear is that even if, again, or in your job or whatever. I want to be the best. So for me, like I do want to be the best marriage coach, but even that is still kind of making about me, right? Versus like probably a better way to put that would be, I want whoever I work with to come out with really amazing results, right? So, John comes in, he's struggling with his marriage, doesn't have intimacy. He comes out, he has great intimacy in his marriage, right? And so, that's a better way to put it, right? So, again, even just listen to your own language. Are you using the word I a lot and me a lot? Or are you using your wife's name? Okay. So I want to be the best husband. Maybe that shifts to, okay, like I want Elizabeth to really see that I value her. I want her to feel like I care. I want her to, know that I'm going to listen to her, right? So there's still a little bit of I in there, but remember, it's more focused on her, right? So, but here's the thing, right? Here's the biggest secret and the biggest takeaway that I want you to take from today is most of it, right? Most of the issue about making about you is that you are not really taking time to get into other people's shoes, to genuinely like, okay, what's it like to be my wife, right? As best you can, like really taking some time to understand that, what she's struggling with right now. Okay. So actually just taking that time to really imagine what it's like to be her. Okay. So what's it like for her to be your wife? What's that experience like for her? Try it. So I like to talk about this strategy called ghost mode, where it's like you actually step out of your body and it's like you're in her body, you're in her experience here. Okay, you're looking through her eyes. So what's it like for her to be your wife, right? Does she feel like she's never measuring up, right? Does she feel like whatever she does, it's not quite there? So my wife's been sharing some of that with me lately, that she kind of feels that way. And so that has to be not very fun for her, right? What's it like for her to be a mother of your children? It's probably kind of tiring, right? She loves it, but it's a lot of energy, So I'm trying to do this right now. So I'm kind of telling you guys about this. As a woman, what's that like? Just, I imagine there's, pressure to look a certain way, to have certain friends, to, do all that. What's it like as a friend? Does she feel like she's doing well as a friend? Does she not? Does she feel like she's failing sometimes at that? I know my wife struggles with that sometimes. So like what's she struggling with right now, right? Physically, what's hard, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what's she going through right now that's kind of difficult. Okay. So what's she happy about right now? What's she excited for? What's she worried about? What are her hopes, dreams, fears? Okay. So what does she enjoy? What does she like to do? Right. Again, like what's it like for her to be married to you? So what I realized, right? Again, what this is about is how do you stop making it about you? Or how do I stop making it about me? This is the secret, guys. The secret is spend some time actually not thinking about you, right? Think about what's it like to be your wife, right? What's it like to be your kids? What are they going through right now, right? Because what I realized, I asked myself this honestly, like how much time do I spend really getting into my wife's shoes? How much time do I really spend getting into my kids' shoes? The truth was not very much, right? Not that much. Okay. A lot of it and what we teach in the program, right, is okay, how do I really change my thinking and my feeling and acting? And I've gotten pretty good at that over time, but this was a piece that was missing, right? And I'm going to emphasize for myself and be pointing out in the program more too, is really making this a solid practice that you try to experience life from her perspective. Okay. Have compassion is the key, right? Compassion comes from the Latin roots are to suffer with, right? Suffer with someone. So what's hard for them, right? What are they struggling with right now? So again, I realized I didn't do this very much. I didn't spend a lot of time really getting into my wife or my kids' shoes. And so, I asked my wife, I'm like, hey, how much time do you spend kind of really trying to see from the kids' perspective and from mine and from your friends? She's like, actually a lot. Like I do that often. And like, I can see it. I can see that that's totally true. She's often like, oh man, I feel so bad for them. I feel so bad for the kids. That must be hard. And I'm like, what are you like? what are you talking about? I didn't know they were having any struggles, or they should just deal with it, or whatever, right? Um, so, but again, she has like overall a better relationship with the kids. I think it's something I'm working on, right? But I think this is a big missing piece for me, is actually spending this time in their shoes, trying to figure out, okay, like what's going on with them? How are they experiencing life right now? How can I actually try to be like, see through their eyes, right? Be in their shoes, go ghost mode, not make it about me, right? Another way to say this. So then people feel drawn to my wife, and they come and share stuff with her. They tell her what's going on. People don't do that with me, like outside of a coaching environment very often. Um, and so, they do some, and I have close friends, and we share things together, and I appreciate that. But look, this was a big revelation for me. Like I do make it about me way too much. But this is the solution, right? I found the solution. I'm telling you guys the secret. Just try to get into their shoes, because then it's not about you at all, right? You're actually thinking about them and what it's like to be them. Okay. And what are they struggling with? But again, my wife's really good at this. And I think that's why people feel drawn to her and, can connect with her and relate with her and, feel very valued and loved by her. And I really admire that about her. Um, so again, like, as a high achieving guy myself, right? And I see this in the guys I work with, you want to be a good husband and father. You really do. And I do too. Um, but still, that's about me and that's about you, right? And I wasn't really spending this time in their shoes, right? And so over this past week or so, I've really started doing that, making that a daily practice of, okay, like what's going on with them? What are they struggling with? How are things happening? Honestly, sometimes I get like overwhelmed with, man, it must be really hard to deal with the things that they're dealing with. I almost have to like pull back out when I'm trying to get into their shoes. Um, but I feel for them. I suffer with them. I have compassion for them, and it opens up like a revelation from God to let me know the type of dad and father, or sorry, dad and father the same, but father and husband that I can be. And not from the sense of, oh, I'm going to be the best, right? Which is kind of my typical thinking pattern, but like, hey, as I really try to get into my wife's shoes and my kids' shoes and see what they're struggling with, like, there's sort of a natural way response, or like a inspirational response to be like, oh, okay, like she's struggling with that, man, maybe like I can step in here and be there for them in this way, right? So it's really cool. It's been really powerful. It's helped me develop a lot more love and compassion for them and empathy, right? Again, compassion means to suffer with. And so as I'm kind of feeling their suffering, it is like, I don't necessarily like it that much in some ways, like just sort of, man, it must be hard to be a teenager these days, or, be struggling with friends, or, all the stuff out there about what you're supposed to be, or social anxiety or whatever, right? It's hard to deal with that stuff. And so do they need me to be there, like, well, just tough it out and be stronger and use the tools that I teach and all that? Not really, right? What they need is someone that shows love and care and concern. um, and then here's the funny thing, right? When you, it really is true what they say, like, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think for me, like, I'm always about, let me just teach you what I know, right? And then they kind of resist that. I'm like, well, fine, then just like deal with it. Right? Versus letting them know how much I care first, like, hey, like, man, it seems like you're struggling, that must be really hard to deal with those things. And if I really mean it and I'm not making it about me, okay, then sure, I do have tools that are helpful. I do have some learning that I think could be useful, but people aren't going to be open to that, especially, so on a professional level, people kind of are more, but on a personal level, not really, right? Because they really do need to feel that I care, that I'm not making it about me, that I'm not trying to win Father of the Year award, that I'm actually trying to understand and help them, right? Which again, paradoxically, if there was some Father of the Year award, then maybe you'd win it. But it's not by trying to be father of the year. It's by trying to get into their shoes and make it about them and not about you. Okay. So really, like, this practice has been one of the best things I've done for myself and my family, for sure. Just getting into their perspective each morning and kind of trying to do that through the day. I think the more I do it, the better it's going to get, right? It's literally getting out of myself and into their experience. So it's impossible to make it about me if I'm really genuinely trying to see things from their perspective and like understand what they're suffering and going through. Like, it's not about me. It can't be, because I'm almost outside of myself in that moment. Right? So a simple way you guys can start practicing this now, right? Just spend some time each morning in your wife's shoes and in your kid's shoes. Okay, what's my wife struggling with? What's it like to be her? What's she dealing with right now? What's difficult, right? Okay. And probably that's one of the best ones to start with if you just want to start with one, right? Is, what are they struggling with right now? What's hard right now? What's difficult? Okay. And try to feel that pain, have compassion, suffer with them in that. For me, it's been really great, right? It generates a lot of love for them and inspiration for me on how to serve them better. Okay. And again, this is the key, guys. We talked about how to not make it about you all the time, right? If you are in her shoes, you're not making it about you. It's about her 100%, right? What's it like to be her, right? What's she struggling with right now? Okay. All right. So in summary, if you're working hard to be a better husband and father, um, but your wife thinks it's still quote unquote all about you, you're making it about you, it's all about you, right? She might be right. Okay. That's what you got to understand. She might be right. Okay. So the solution, right, is to literally stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about her, and not just about her, but like really trying to experience what she's experiencing as best you can, right? What she's struggling with, what she's suffering with. Okay. And get a sense of that. Go ghost mode, right? Go into her experience. So when you do that, you remove yourself from the equation completely. It's really not about you at that point, because you're trying to be in her shoes, in her perspective. Like, you are not part of it. Okay. Like, maybe the only place you draw it in as part of it is maybe something she's suffering with is like you've done something that's a problem, right? And so, yeah, maybe she's struggling with that right now. So, but then it's still not about you, right? You're understanding how you impacted her, right? But you also understand you're just part of it. Okay. You're not all of it. That's another thing guys will do, making it about them. Oh, you're struggling because of everything I did. And she's like, yeah, that's part of it, but there's also a lot more to me than just my relationship with you, right? And so again, that's part of not making it about you. What else is she struggling with? What else is hard right now? Or what else is she happy about? What else is going on in her life, right? So get out of yourself, get into her experience, get into her shoes, ghost mode. So what this does, right, it opens up to real compassion, lets you suffer with her, and also opens up inspiration on how to be a better man, husband, and father, right? So it's an interesting cycle, right? When we're just all about, oh, I'm going to be a great husband and father, we are making it about us. But when we get into our wife's shoes, right, we really experience from where she's experiencing, trying to suffer what she's suffering, right? It's not about us, but that is when we're going to be a better husband, because we're going to get that inspiration and flow of how to really be better. So main take home point, guys, is just think, like, how much time do you actually spend really thinking like, okay, like, what's my wife experience today? What's she thinking about? What's she feeling? What's she going through? If you're not spending like at least some amount of time doing that, you are probably making it about you too much. If your goal in being a better husband and father is just to do that, to be a better husband and father, that is kind of about you, versus trying to really understand her, right? Get into her perspective and do that and be inspired from that to serve her, right? And then that will make you a better husband. Okay. So again, just try to understand where she's coming from. Try to suffer what she's suffering, compassion, right? Understand where she's at. Let that unlock some inspiration on how to serve her. Okay. So just want to share out with you guys. It's been a super powerful thing for me. And yeah, that will help you not make it about you. Okay. Because it's not, because you're trying to experience life from her perspective. Okay. So guys, if you want to have a comprehensive program to help you really get rid of your negative, unattractive patterns of thinking, feeling, and acting, including making it about you, and replace those with positive, attractive patterns like this one today, getting into her shoes, experiencing things from her perspective, and also adding to that, restoring trust, building communication, bringing back that real intimacy. Okay. learn how to do it in a program, Love, Intimacy, and Legacy. It's 90 days. You're going to establish these habits and just be a completely different person, right? A person that's not making it about you, but that is making it about his wife. And also finding that balance between like loving your wife, loving yourself, getting to win-win agreements, having that communication, just enjoying your lives together, hitting those difficult spots, but knowing you can get through them because you have the skills to do it. All right, guys. So, come join us. There's a link in the show notes to apply. So if you're a high achieving Christian man, come, apply to join. And, or just head over to strongmenstrongmarriages.com and click on work with me, and that'll send you to the application. You'll schedule a call, fill out an application that we'll review on that call. All right, men, stay strong. We will see you next episode.